Hey, brand babies, it's your ghetto country grandmother, and I have one of my problem children in the house. Oh my goodness. I have my Casalicious in the house. This is Miss Cas Johnson. Yes, my policy and procedure queen. She is the one that helped me with my cancellation policies and different things. And also, she is a business of one. And we're going to talk today about if she, I don't even know if Cas should have any questions because she's the queen.
I
And
have
I'm sorry
questions.
if this is going to be a giggly episode, but you just trust you have been forewarned. But I'm gonna go ahead and let Miss Cass introduce herself and tell us something. So come on with it, Cass. Tell us who you are and what you
Oh,
do and all that
shoot.
good stuff. Yes,
You didn't
shoot.
make me, you didn't make me prepare for that one, did you? Uh,
Come on with it.
I am Cas Johnson, the Ethical Strategist of Corporate Administrative Solutions Limited. A bit of a mouthful, so we call it CAS Limited. And I help people with their policies and procedures. Before everybody nods off, it really is interesting, but we need to have a conversation, obviously, that we're going to have today. And then maybe you can ask me questions and pull it out of me. I've got the answers for what I do.
Sounded so suggestive.
Oh no, it's not. Well, you've got to, haven't you? Policies and procedures. They want
Oh
to
my
know
goodness.
what have you got going on.
I know
We
I don't
really are
care.
looking at the paperwork, though. It's the paperwork.
Yes. Oh, and like I said, Cass is all about policies and procedures. And to give you a little bit of background on Casalicious, and I call her Casalicious. Can't none of y'all other ones call her that. I can call her that because I gave her that name. But but Cass, when Cass became my client, Cass was on her way to becoming a virtual assistant, or so she thought. And in the process, we've made a few changes along the way. And at every step of the game, Cass was finding out more and more of what she did and did not want in her business and her brand. And so we honed in on where she shines the most, because when she came to me talking about this VA bullshit, I did not know that Cass had studied law. Come on now. Should not be doing no VA shit when you done study some law and had the degree and all that kind of stuff. But Cass, come on, tell me something about a little bit about your journey before we get into this, of how you see it versus how I see it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being a VA. It's just that it wasn't for me. If anyone calls me an administrator, then I don't mind because I have a background, a career within business support. And that's what has opened up my eyes to the love of policies and procedures, because you have an administrator and they get all the crap dumped on them. So anything that nobody else wants to do because they're way too important, it gets shoved to the administrator to do. So when people were putting in their expenses and they were claiming for cokes and lunches while they're in the office, it's just like, what do you think you're doing? And me being a nosy busybody, I'm like, no, you're not getting that. Because I'm sat there and I'm having to pay for my lunch, or I'm having to bring it in. And I do not like to cook. Just like you say you don't cook
I
on
don't cook on
purpose. I
purpose.
don't Right. I don't like cooking, full stop. So I'm having to cook to bring in, and these people are having lunch on the company's time. Why can't I get lunch on the company's time? I work just as hard. So I would go through, look at the policy and see what they can claim for, what they can't claim for. And then I'd point it out to the managers or the director, and I would say, look, they can't claim for this, so I'm not approving it. I'm a bit bossy,
A bit.
just I work with people who allow me to be me, and then they find out that I help them. And if you have something there that tells you what the rules are, why don't you follow them? Unless they don't make sense. I mean, to be in London and you have an allowance of, say, £80 for a room a night, that's ridiculous. You're not going to get a room for £80. So I'll argue that fact. And it's just gone from there. So when I started out on my own and I said I was going to be a virtual assistant, it's because I'm used to dealing with calendars and arranging meetings. I know how to do that with my eyes closed. There is no challenge. And I thought, okay, rather than take the instructions from somebody else, I'll just do it myself.
Do it your
I'll
damn
put
self.
myself forward. Yeah, but when people were coming to me and they were saying, "Can you book the meetings? Can you look at my?" It's just like, I want to do this. Why don't you do it yourself? And it's just like, but that's what you're telling them that you're going to do. So you've got a little bit of a conflict. And then speaking to you and then seeing that my world wasn't limited, it kind of opened up and I was putting restrictions on myself. I had to take a step back several times, even though I do fight when people are telling me that no, you need to open up. I have to sit down and ponder. I do like to ponder. And I thought about it and it says, no, although it's not sexy to everybody else, I love policies. I love to have a procedure. I'd like to know how it works out, something that everyone can follow. And there's some kind of coherence. It just makes it easier. I am truly lazy. So I want to know what it is from the start, see how it works to the end, do it in the shortest amount of time, and let's be done with it.
And policies allow you to do that, is what you're telling me.
Policies set out an expectation. You are saying, as a company, as an individual, this is what I expect, this is what I want. And if you have that on show and people are gravitating towards you as a business, as an organization, if you have that and they don't want to do that, then they have the choice. Either they want to comply or they don't. If they don't want to comply, they can air their grievances and you can work it out. Or you say, no, my rules are what my rules are. You can find someone else. There's loads of people doing the same thing. So you
Mm-hmm.
have a choice, but be upfront about it. That's the ethical side.
That's
It's
the
not
ethical
because I'm an
side.
angel.
Yes. And one of the things that we found out on this journey is because back when I started working with cats, it was when I was still under my old mindset of looking at competition. And so one of the biggest competitors for cats, if you're going to still look at that, is that there are all these, especially now with AI, can you write out my policies? But the reason I like working with Cass and why I chose to work with Cass after we went through this whole process with her was I wanted my policies to reflect something that I can actually enforce, because I am, y'all think as hard as I am and as much as I cuss and all the things and get up in your face, I am not a confrontational person. I don't like being pushed around and all of that kind of stuff. So if I have policies that I can actually enforce, that I'm comfortable enforcing, then it makes for a different business model for me. Because if I put in a policy, yes, it should probably be a policy, but it's not something that, you know what, I feel comfortable in doing, then why the fuck am I going to put it out there? And so when Cass was helping me write my cancellation policy,
Tell the whole story.
let's just say my policies are very personal. I call my privacy policy my private parts.
Yes.
But
Which is fine. That's
okay.
fine.
Hmm.
You can call them what you want, but it's more when you have individuals say, I'm not doing this at all. And then we have to sit down, we have to have the conversation. Okay, you don't want to do it, but how does it affect your internal community, your team? If you don't have a team, how does it affect your clients or your customers? Have you thought about it that way? See it from their point. And then I have had people who have changed their mind. They've sat down and they've thought about it and says, okay, then yes, I will give refunds, but on these circumstances, I will give like an exchange.
Okay, can you go back to what you were just saying? Just repeat that and I'll cut the previous part out. If you can remember. If not, we can move on and I'll just cut it.
Do you think I can remember?
You don't have to say it the exact same way.
I was talking about the templates, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you get a template, whether you get it from off the internet, and they're not really giving away free templates anymore, um, it's just a bunch of words. And no one has the time to sit down to read through them. And if they do, because it's so boring, then they don't comprehend what it really means. So to have someone there to explain to them what it is that you're putting out there and look at the different scenarios should they come up, then they are more able to make a informed decision on what's happening and what they would like to happen going forward. And don't think that your policies are set in stone. They are supposed to be an active part of your business. there to guide you as well as your team. So as you grow, there's certain things that you probably need to exclude or you no longer need. I know of companies that have in the beginning, instead of giving a cash bonus, they used to give turkeys. But then as the business grew and they could afford it, then they would give cash bonuses. That's fine. So just make it evolve. I
But
don't know if I've answered the question.
no, that's good, because I want to touch on this, because when you're a business of one, and I know me being a business of one, I don't really give a rat's ass about policies. Um, and I know that we should have them, but stop making that face. But when you're like I say, when you're a business of one, it's hard to wrap your mind around that thing. But shouldn't those policies, I think what you told me is that those policies need to apply to you right now where you are, and not, you shouldn't be trying to skip over having policies just because you're a business of one.
Get into the habit of planning. Don't see a policy as just something that's restrictive, that's telling other people what to do. You are also working in your business until you are not. And you are the best employee to try out your policies and see if they actually work. So when someone comes in and says, no, that doesn't make any sense, you can say, well, actually, it does, because I've done it before. And I hear it all the time from people who are just starting out, or even if they're well established and they're well, I say well established. I think without policies you can't be well established. But if they've been going for a little while, and the first thing they say is that I'm small, I don't need policies. What are you talking about? You always need a policy. They go on these marketplaces. I don't know if I can name them because I don't want to be sued. But you know the big
I
marketplaces,
know,
the
I do.
e-commerce.
Yes, yes.
But they have all they care about is making themselves profit, because that's their business. They want
Yeah,
to bring you on so that they can charge you the fees. So when they give you a refund policy, let's say, it they're offering their service internationally. They don't know what your local law is. So I see a lot of people with refund policies that do not comply in the UK. They don't even have the basics. Then you look at the larger companies or the big corporations, and you see that they say something like statutory rights are not affected. What are they? As a small business, you are liable for a lot of things. So you need to educate yourself. And if you don't know, then go to someone who does. You need policies. You can't avoid them. So you start off small with what you can manage. And then as you grow, yeah, it will evolve. I mean, a lot of people go to HR and they think that HR will give them the policies. And I, at one point, was almost convinced that all of them came. And we had that conversation that
yeah,
they don't all come from HR. And when I thought about it, it's like, yeah, they do come from legal or from finance. But again, I find, and it's something that I'm researching now and hope to put a blog out about, is that when I first started working a very long time ago, if you ever see a picture of me, you won't believe it, but a very long time ago, HR was there in the interview. HR was the one who helped you get onboarded. They were the ones, if you had any like grievancy problems, then they were the ones that you spoke to. Now they're almost non-existent. And especially for smaller companies, they're a consultant. So they come in, they give them templates. They say, this is what you need to make sure that you're legal and compliant in your area. And then they disappear. If you need any help, then call me and I'll give you an invoice. That's not helpful. So you sit there and you think you can work it out yourself. The legal, I can only speak for the English law with confidence because that's what I've studied. It seems like it's in plain English, but it's not always as straightforward as what you're reading. So sometimes you need someone who can sit down and talk you through that and explain. And it's just a lot of things that are overlooked, and most people look at policies and go, oh, don't need it. It's unnecessary, but they will pay for like legal coverage. It's just like no one's explaining anything to you. Or you'll pay for the consultant who will give you papers that they won't explain, but they say, pay me extra and I'll explain it to you. Why? Why? So yeah, it's frustrating. Everyone says that they don't need me until they do need me.
yeah. Because Cass, when she was helping me with mine, I think I was still living in Oregon at the time. And when I moved to Texas and she had to help me again, she calls our states mini countries because
Wow. So
because of her helping me, she had to actually look up and learn about like the different state laws that we have. There are federal things that govern everything like nationally, but if I'm within this state, I there are certain things within Texas that did not apply in Oregon and vice versa. And so that was something that I needed to know. It's like, okay, I need to update my policies because I've moved. And she's able, and this chick will go back and read all that shit. I'm not reading it. She will go back and read all that shit. And then tell me, you know what, this no longer applies to you. But at least I know she's actually looking it up and not just giving me something like, oh, it's just boilerplate and this blanket, it'll cover everything. It is actually conducive to my particular business. And mind you, I don't have a lot of policies, but I have Cass. So as I grow, and Cass and I have already discussed this, as I grow, she'll tell me which policies I need. So I'm not out here just pulling policies out my ass because I think it's necessary. It's a different situation, and this is something I think people who are a business of one, they need to know, because we go and we buy these things on the internet. And like my back in the day, I used to use Rocket Lawyer. I can name them. They're good for what I needed them for, and contracts and all that kind of stuff. And I actually went to another site. I don't even remember the name of the site, but I downloaded a policy, and they ask you to fill in the blanks, and then they give you something. But even though I'm filling in the blanks, I still don't understand how this applies to me. And Cass would sit down and take the time out and actually explain as we came up with the policies for me, and she would let me know. She liked my policy. I have one for my ebook that says, or for my email, that, you know what, I don't share my chocolate and I won't share your email, or I treat your email like my chocolate and I don't share my chocolate. Some shit I said, but she liked that one. But then I had a small community for a minute. And I was saying, because everybody's so up in arms about their intellectual property, I said, you steal anybody shit in this community, I'm going to give them your address, your phone number, and whatever.
that's not allowed. Can we just make it clear? It's not
Tell me
allowed.
I couldn't use it.
It's not allowed.
Like, hell, I don't know why not. They steal and they should be put on blast. I'm sorry.
But yeah, we come back to the ethics with that one. Say
Yes.
what you mean and mean what you say. And if
Yeah.
you're saying that you're not going to share your chocolate, then don't throw your chocolate at people when they do something wrong. It's just as simple as that.
I don't think that's right, but okay. But again, she is the expert on that. So Kaz, let's get into your brand. Tell us something about your brand that you are now very secure in that you weren't secure in before.
Oh gosh, where to start? Do you know what?
What?
Before 2021, towards the end, no. Before I met you, I didn't know what a brand was.
Okay.
Had no idea. I mean, I would go in to companies and I would have to do their M&O. It's like their manuals. Like I work with construction companies. So at the end of a project, you have to put together all the operating manuals, the how to clean stuff if they need repairing and where to go and whatever. I'd have to put all those together. And a lot of, because I work for smaller, medium-sized businesses. So they'd have like people with multiple titles, and you want to find out what their font was, their colors were. And I know brand is beyond that, but all of those things is a part of brand. And I would just like to know, what font do you use and what size should it be? And let me have the right colors. And nobody knew. And I'm thinking, why don't you have this? But I would just say that I want your fonts. I wouldn't know that was brand. Do you have your logo? I have to go on a website to go steal the logo from somewhere else. It's just like, I don't know. I didn't know what all of that was. And again, working with construction companies, they're just looking for the next deal, how to bring in money. So it's not about, oh, we're looking at this ideal client and we're looking at that. They don't have an ideal client. They'll take anyone. and then they negotiate with price and they start throwing things in. And I think after doing I want to get this right. What was the course that I did? Because I did the boot camp
You did the
and
boot
now
camp.
it's
Yeah. But then you had the
yeah.
maintenance afterwards. So you did the 12 weeks and then you had the maintenance afterwards.
So that like blew my mind. I struggled with that. You said boot camp, and I should have realized because I don't do that in the physical sense. I would never go anywhere near it. So why I fooled myself into doing this thing that was so enlightening to find out what it was that I really wanted to do, and that I didn't have to put myself forward as me, Cass, not Cass Limited, which I've already said the long name. I'm not going to say it again in case I trip up on it because it's a very long name. But that was my biggest fear in the beginning, putting myself forward. And now I know what I have to be in my business. So if people are to come into my business, even if they're just covering for me so that I can go on a lovely holiday, then this is what I want you to portray to everybody else. So it's not, at one point I thought, oh, I've got something to hide behind. And it's like, you don't hide behind it because you kept on saying, you have to promote it. You're,
You
and it's
stand
just
10
like,
toes down in your shit.
yeah, I like to stand on like 6 toes. I actually like stand on five because I usually stand on one foot to try and improve my balance where I can. I'm so challenging.
Yes, you are. I told y'all she was one of my problem childs.
But you need that. It is necessary for what I do. I have
Yes.
to push back. But yeah, I guess it's that. I mean, I thought I could hide behind everyone gets stuck with this, don't they? The colors and the little logo. I
Yeah.
was thinking, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I just want to get to work and fix people up and tidy them up. So that was pretty much simple. And they have changed slightly over time, but it was more, what is the essence of what I want to give to people? And you don't think about that. And it is right now, I'm caught in this servitude. How do I serve people? It's not about the money. It is about the money. I do want to make money,
Yeah.
but it's more about how do I serve people and improve them. Um, and I'm finding that when I'm doing posts and things like that, I stop. And God knows, everybody knows Bobby Rob. He's not real. He doesn't have a
Yes. Oh,
passport. He doesn't have a birth certificate.
I'm gonna tell y'all about Bobby Rock when he gets done. Oh shit.
But that part of branding I love, thinking about, and sometimes it's really frustrating thinking about who my, I hate it, ideal client, but they're like people to me. They are real people that I am speaking to, so I don't get nervous. I know who I'm speaking to. I'm not speaking to many faces. I'm just speaking to Bobby Rob or Bobby Rob's dad or Tanya Henderson. And I
Tanya
know what
Henderson, the new
struggles they're
Avatar.
going through.
Is Tanya
Yes,
Henderson oh my
a
gosh.
woman.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. We're gonna talk
but
about
she's
this in a
fierce.
minute. Hold on. I want to tell you guys this story though. When Cass went through the boot camp, and back then it was called the boot camp. Now it's called the branded timeout. It was 12 weeks in, it's 13 weeks now. But anyway, I just wanted to give y'all that little background. But anyway, we got on the part where we were talking about their ideal clients, and we had gone through their audience, but now we were down to the ideal client. And so everybody, and mind you, my things, my boot camps or branded timeout, they only hold 7 people. And so everybody is struggling with their avatar except Cass. I'm telling you, we knew Bobby Rob was married. Bobby Rob was her ideal client. We knew Bobby Rob was married. We knew that he had 2 kids. We knew that his wife was a diva. We knew that his dad had too much input on his marriage and his business. We knew that Bobby Rob was a pushover kind of punk ass.
There
Let
were
me tell
emotions to Bobby
y'all,
Rob.
we knew Bobby Rob so well. One of my other clients hated him.
Yeah.
She would get mad whenever we brought up Bobby Rob. It was that serious. That's how well Cass. That's how well she put together this client avatar. we knew everything. We knew what kind of car he drove, and there was just so much to his backstory. And so when Cass would talk about him, we could actually picture Bobby Rob. And like I said, my other client hated Bobby Rob. I don't even remember why but she still hates him. If we were having a conversation
Passionate.
just in general, we cannot bring up Bobby Rob. Her face gets tight. So it's that kind of crazy that she put so much thought into who her ideal client was that she made somebody else hate him. That's some magic shit right there. But tell me about the new avatar. Tell me about, you said Tanya Henderson.
Tanya Henderson.
Tell
She
me
was a
about her.
single woman. She's quite happy being single. I don't know if she's got a cat or a dog, and that's like my personal preference coming in there. But she does have a pet. She lives a not lavish life. Well, it looked like lavish to other people, but she just likes the finer things in life because she doesn't have any kids. She doesn't have anyone holding her back. She can do what she likes, but she is struggling so badly. She's not even in construction. She is legal. This is the like legal side of me coming out where she is struggling, and it's that battle with self because she is so strong. She doesn't want to ask for help, but she really does need help. And those a lot of my clients, although they are male, it's like a weakness to ask for help. And then when you talk about the avatars and going down into detail, that is part of the policies and procedures. I have to look at businesses and I have to see how they work. I'm not coming in to fit you into a box, a model, or a framework that I'm trying to fit everybody into. I'm looking at your business and seeing how best to give you a solution that's going to work for you. It's a waste of time me telling you to put everything online if you need to get paperwork straight away, or if you're not IT savvy. It makes no sense.
Okay. What made you come up with, and I thought you were still talking, and that was me. That was me. But what made you stop laughing? What made you decide on, because I know when we were talking about your avatar the last time we had the conversation about your avatar, because they were in the construction industry, we knew they were white male figures and all of that kind of stuff. But now you have this woman, and I know we both have preferences around whether they're male or female. It's not that we don't service both, but we just have that kind of preference thing. But what made you go with a female avatar and having this conversation with her?
I think over the last year, I've had a lot of women gravitate towards me.
Okay.
And it's not that I've worked with a lot of women because I don't even know if I should say, most of them have been wishy-washy. I mean, I've had people tell me that they found someone in replacement of me to clean their house. And I don't know what energy I was giving off that says I was a cleaner, but I need to cleanse myself and my soul because I am not a cleaner. It's not that I have anything against cleaners. I speak to all people and I appreciate all roles, but that is not something that I should have been giving off. But there has been a lot of strong personalities, female personalities, where even though they are strong, they still need help and they're willing to listen. They're a little bit more challenging I find, with men that I say something, I give them a look, I say it in a cheeky way, and either they like it, they swallow it, and they go ahead, they try and fight it, but then they realize that, she knows what she's talking about and she's going to do well. I have worked with people who really don't like me, but only men. They don't like me, but they know I'm going to give them the results that they need. So they continue working with me and I get paid. I like the work that I'm doing because I'm learning. So that's fine. I find with the women, and I've only worked with, I don't think it's more than 5 women in my lifetime
Wow.
compared to all the men that I've worked with. And I've seen where they have struggled and it's taken them time to trust. But then once I've helped them and they've opened up and we've got that trust, then do you know what? They're more enjoyable than the men.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Am I counted in that 5? Am I one of them problem women?
Yes, yes. You were a problem. You were definitely a problem. You came in and then you've got that attitude and so sharp, and it's just like, I'm not doing, and then just thinking, oh, here we go. Here we go. Not even over. And remember, I gave you time, because everyone thinks that policies are easy. Okay, we're gonna knock this out. No, it's not. When you go through it with me, it's going to stress you out. You are going to feel tired. It's going to drain you. And I
there'll
say,
be some
okay,
revisions
we come
involved
back next
because,
week.
yeah. And
And you want
but
to fight.
see, here's the crazy part though. Y'all, we had to argue between her Queen's English and my bad English. So
I'm slowly getting fluent in American.
like, we don't talk like that. I'm not putting that shit in there. She's like, don't change my shit. She doesn't cuss though. Here's the thing. She
Yeah,
does not
don't
cuss.
change my stuff.
But
You want to make amendments, let me know. But if my name's going on it, don't change my stuff. That's why we work together. We work together to make sure that it's right.
mm-hmm.
But if you want to make any changes and it's got my name on it, don't change it.
And but the trip part about it is, like, one of the other things we discovered as you were growing your business and learning, I mean, growing your brand, but still learning your business, because you went from the whole VA thing to becoming a strategist, a business strategist that does policies and procedures, was that you're not going to type out a whole bunch of policies for people. They need to either, and even if they want you to do that, then we talked about you putting a different price point on that, because it's something
There's a
that you do
whole
not want to do. And so that is something that you have to realize, even when you're doing your branding work, it affects your business. And so one of her own policies is like, I'm not doing that shit. I'm not typing out all of these policies. It's, you can bring me policies and I'll review them and we can go over them. But if I have to put finger to keyboard to type them out, oh no, that's going to cost you some money. And so that's one of the things that we realized, because it was something that she did not want to do. So how she represents that in her brand has to be very clear. It's not like just all these different things that people come like, okay, can you tell me what policies I need? She constantly tells me it requires a conversation. She is not just going to give you some blanket policies. And so forth. So when we were working on her brand and getting all these different things done, it's like, you have to make sure that people understand this when you're talking about your clients and the work that you do. It has to come across. So when you get on that discovery call, it's not such a shock that, oh, you're not going to type them. I thought I was just going to get you to type them. Cass will look at them cross-eyed, up and down, sideways, and probably cut them a few times with her eyelashes.
Yeah. So doing the boot camp, I got a name, didn't I?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. And then
I'm
it's
calling
taken me
her
a
the
while.
queen.
Yeah, the boot camp, and then when we were doing the archetypes,
Okay. Yep.
it's
So
the whole process of denial and then coming. It's like going through an AA meeting or something. I'm never going to an AA meeting because I
yeah,
like to drink.
you and me both, sister. And what she's talking about is when we went through the archetypes, we tease Cass a lot, and we call her the queen because she is very royal. And so when we were talking about archetypes, and we were trying to tell her that she was a royalty archetype, her brand, her personal brand was royalty archetype. She tried to argue up and down she was a fucking magician. Oh my goodness. And it's like, no, you're not.
I think I've got a little touch of it.
As magical as you think you are a fucking royalty brand.
Yeah,
But then it was with the understanding that she can hold on to that royalty as far as her personal brand. It does not mean that it has to consume her business brand. Because I doubt if Cass want other folks like her working in her business as she grows and scales.
there can only be one cast. There's only ever one cast. There are people that I've worked with in the past, and they will tell you that there's only ever been one of me.
Yes.
And they have called me a diva in the past as well. I don't agree with it.
Anyway, I'm gonna let that pass me by.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you
Cass,
need to do that.
what do you see for your brand for 2023? What do you think is going to be different this year? What level of maturity are you striving for this year?
Oh, Now that I'm crystal clear on what it is that I'm doing, I mean, it may not be crystal clear to everybody else because I haven't been talking about it as much, but I need to have the clarity before I go out there because I hate to lose a fight. I hate to apologize, and I don't want to leave anyone confused about what I'm doing. So it's to speak up now. It is
Okay.
part of your countdown. I love it. It rolls in my head a lot. And it's like you need to go out there and you need to tell. There's so many examples every single day when I'm speaking to people where I think they're talking about sales and they're talking about marketing. It's just like you just don't have a structure to your business. You don't know what's going on, just the basic things. If you put like a little, everyone talks about process, and I feel like I'm stuck in Star Wars with, is it Star Wars with Yoda? Because I don't watch
Yes.
those things, but I know
I don't
Yoda
either. I
speaks
had to think
backwards.
about it. But
Yeah.
yes, it's Yoda.
The little green
Yeah,
gremlin
you're
thing
right.
that
Move
speaks
on.
backwards.
What?
Yeah. So he speaks backwards, and that's how everybody is thinking because everyone's talking about a process or I
Yeah, I
get
know.
palpitations when we start talking about SOPs.
SOPs make her cringe. Oh, yeah.
Just you can't give grown folks just instructions. You need to give them context to why they're doing stuff. Otherwise, they're not going to follow the rules. They're not. They're going to put their own little flair on there and think that they're doing something great. And because they don't understand, they could cost you a fortune. And there's nothing that you can do.
Okay. But you did not answer my damn question.
Oh,
What
go
did you
ahead. Oh, that's it. What am I going to do about my
yes,
brand? I'm going to speak up.
what level are you
Wasn't
looking?
that an example of it? Me speaking up about my business.
Okay.
I did answer.
So it's about speaking up. So is this more about brand awareness? Is it going to be about brand equity? Are you trying to build loyalty? What are you trying to do?
Oh, do you know when we first started the course and you said what you want to be famous for?
Yeah.
You're thinking this woman is crazy. I don't want to be famous. I think
Mm-hmm.
I even said it. I said I want to be
You
the
did. You
HP
told
man.
me.
I want to be the HP man. I don't want nobody to know who I am. No one. I don't want
Yep.
them disturbing me. I don't want them coming to talk to me when I'm not in business mode. So I will stay back here and I will put out my posts and everybody will be aware. And it just doesn't work like that.
No, it
I
doesn't.
find that when I speak to people, they get more of an understanding and they start thinking. So the post doesn't do it. I mean, if people are readers or they take the time or they want to sit down, but to have the conversation. So I'm going to have to do more things like this, get on podcasts and start speaking up and go networking with people. I mean, it's all discomfort, but and when people say that you're stuck in your comfort zone, I'm not in a comfort zone because I'm not comfortable. So I've got to shed this skin right now. So that's what I've got to do. And all these things that I've put together, I know who I'm looking at. I know who I want to work with. I know who's gravitating towards me. And I've been trying to avoid that, but maybe I'll have to do something because I want to help. I don't want to help everyone like everyone says.
Yeah.
I know that I want to work with small and medium-sized businesses. If you have a team of 10, that is perfect because that means that you're forming what I call an internal community.
Yeah.
And just to have those ground rules in place and see how you can. I don't think you have to be big. So I'd like to
Okay.
work with them, but I get a lot of smuts, the solopreneurs that you like to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of them asking me questions, and it's like you can't just shut the door on them and say that no, you can't help them because you can. There's certain things that you can do. Definitely when it comes to e-commerce, everybody's got this side hustle, and I hate that as well. Why do you have a side hustle? It's Are you serious about this or not? But
You
then
know
I'm
I
going
do.
down onto something else. But yeah, it's to help mainly the what we call SMEs, but to have something there for the solopreneurs and the entrepreneurs, if you're willing to listen. If you want to pick up those breadcrumbs, then go ahead. And then when you start to grow, then we can talk. But yeah, I just want to tidy everyone up.
So here, I know before when we were talking about your brand architecture and how you're going to build, are you going to add in the business consultation or sitting in on hiring and different things? Because I know we talked about that. It's like these are certain things when people are hiring, it's not just based on them hiring for skill, but actually because you know the culture that they're trying to create based on the policies that they have. Are you going to start implementing that this year where you're going to approach companies like, let's do an internal audit and make sure your whatever it is that you're doing, your policies are aligned with how you structure whatever it is in your business?
I want to do it all.
Oh.
Do you know, I had an interesting
Problems.
conversation towards the end of last year with a business advisor, and he was talking about competitors. And I kind of looked at him all smug and I said, I don't have competitors. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I says, and this is influenced by you. I said, I don't have competitors. I don't have them. I says, I can work with anyone. I can work with HR because HR will give you the policy, but they won't put into practice the procedures or the processes. I says, I can work with VAs because they're coming in to do the work. I don't want to do the work. I'm not a keeper. I come in, I fix things, and then I leave. I'm like Mr. Wolf from Pulp Fiction. I just want to clean up and then get out. I can come back and check to make sure that you're still sparkling, but get out. So I can put the processes in place. I don't really want to do the processes.
Don't
I
be
think
trying to
that's something.
backtrack now and talk about them then. No. You said
No,
policies
no,
and procedures, kick them fucking processes to the curb. Ah.
it depends because it depends what size they are. If they're a medium-sized company, then they will have someone in to do their admin. So it would be training them up and working with them to make sure that they've got something in place that works.
Okay.
If they are smaller, then they probably only need a VA for a couple of hours. So I would have to work through that process myself to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that it works, and then they can hand it over to them. A lot of business people don't know anything about admin. They're not interested. It's boring. They neglect it, and that's what's catching them out. So
See,
that's why I say I don't do processes, but I do processes. It's like a whisper.
only because she don't want you to look bad. And it's not even you. Cass does not want to look bad. If she put your shit together, you are not gonna mess it up with a fucked up process.
No, you are not. It's my name.
Let me show you how to do this so that you keep my other shit straight.
That's my policy. Mm-hmm.
But the other it was something you just said and it probably went out of my head and I can't remember what it is. But do you have all of your goals kind of set for the year or per quarter or per month? Because I always talk about life, brand, and business. Have you set those up yet of what
I'm
you're going
really
to do?
bad at them.
Huh?
I'm really bad at them. I am like an unwilling hippie.
I know. I know. That why you think I call you a
I
product
don't, yeah, I don't hug trees. I don't sit on grass. And I'm not a vegan.
Well, we're gonna
But
have to have a set. We're gonna have to have a session so you can get some goals in place because I do want you to have your financial goals in place, and this is for your life, brand, and business. And for you guys that don't understand that, when you're talking about your finances, I know people promise you six figures and all of that, and it's great, but saying I want 100,000 a year is very limiting in that you're only thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about your brand or your business. You're not thinking about your employees, and even though you're currently your employee, you need to make enough money for the boss and the employee. So that $100,000 does not cover it. And then the business also has to make a profit. So if you want a 30% profit, that means you have to make at least 130,000 a year. So there's all these different things that need to go into place when you're talking about when you're setting goals. And so because I'm all about connecting the dots of life, brand, and business, all of them got to get paid. And so it's with the understanding, like even outside of the finances, if you want to win an award, what is the brand want to win and what is the business want to win? So if you want to get mentioned in magazines, I want to personally be mentioned in a magazine versus I want my business talked about in the magazine. Either way is free PR, but you have to know what those goals are, because that's the only way you're going to do that is to close the gap with the brand that you build. If you building some fuck shit brand, sweetie, ain't nobody going to talk about you other than poorly. It's a whole ass thing. So making sure that at this level as a solopreneur, when you're talking about doing whatever it is you're doing, consider your life, brand, and business. All of it is your fucking life. True enough. I don't believe in balance. Y'all know I wrote a book. Balance is bullshit. But it's still with the understanding that all three of those places want something. All three of those pieces want something. And you have to set goals for them. So we're gonna do a session and you're gonna set some goals. I don't care if we just do something for the quarter, because then you can set up the marketing that you want to do. And you're really good about putting out your content, but I want to see you put out excuse me. I want to see you put out very direct um very direct content. I'll put it like that. Because I know you're fabulous on TikTok.
God, it's hard.
I know it's
I
hard,
mean,
but you gotta do it.
I know, and I said that today, and it was just like they say practice makes perfect and it gets easier.
No.
So just sit here and sit with it. But you know what it is? It's because maybe I started off lazy. I told you I'm lazy, right?
Yeah. Yep. So am I.
So when I started off, it was always word of mouth. So then to go out there and what do they call it? Hunt? To go out there and hunt, it's just like
No, and I'm not telling you to
someone's
go
going to
hunt.
bring me.
I'm not even telling
Someone's
you to
going to
go
bring me
hunt.
something.
I'm not telling you to go hunt. I'm telling you to trap. That's what I'm telling you to do. I want you to trap.
Okay.
Is that
Because
better?
then when you think about hunting, it's just like someone's going to hunt, they're going to, but I want the good piece. I don't want your
You know,
leftovers. I want to have the pick first. And it's just like,
you
so
know
you're
what?
gonna have to go out
Since
and
you
do it
said that,
yourself.
you're gonna hunt at least once a month. We're gonna find you a target person so you can hunt them down once a month. And it's not gonna be what you think it is, but the rest of it, because you create such great content, that can still trap. But it has to be more direct. And that's something that we need to work on. Because I've been reading your content lately, and it is so much better than when you started out. But there's still something missing, because I'm not seeing you get the engagement that you should probably be getting. So we'll talk about some of that stuff. But yeah, your ass is gonna hunt. You're gonna hunt, and it's not gonna be nearly as bad as you think it is. And
I
I'm
don't
only gonna
know, but
ask.
I
I'm
feel like
only
it's
gonna ask you to
real
do it
hard.
once a month. And if you tell me to back the fuck up, I will. But you're not going. You're not going to, because you're not no punk.
Yeah, because you know I'm not going to do it.
You're not gonna punk out. She's like, she ain't gonna sit here and challenge me and think I ain't gonna do it. I don't even fucking want to do it, but I'm gonna do it because she think I'm not going to. I know you, Cass.
Messing about with my senses.
So we're
I'm
gonna
not even
look
an
at.
open book.
Yeah, you are. And like I said, this is why I work the way that I work. If I did not spend time with you, I would not know these things. And I know this is not your comfort zone, but it's not that you don't want it to be, because you have come so far in all of the stuff that you're doing. So why limit yourself? Like I say,
No, it
hunting,
makes sense.
yeah.
It does make sense because that's what I do with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's very comfortable to ignore the paperwork that is piling up. It's very comfortable to accommodate someone when they push back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a better kind of feeling that you walk away with when you know you've got the policies in place. And when you say you're not giving any kind of refunds, then you say, refer to the policy. It was there and you didn't read it. I am covered. And you don't have that horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach and your heart pounding in your chest, thinking, oh my gosh, are they going to sue me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I have that thing about me. I went to court last year. I took someone to court and I felt so sorry for the person because it was like, if you had policies and procedures in place,
I would
we
not
would
be
have
here.
never got to the stage. And I was trying to help the person. I mean, I'm hard done by, and I feel like I'm conflicted because I'm asking you what is the what procedure do you have in place? I'm making a complaint. Everybody, gets to the point of sale. And when the sale is done, you've done the service, you don't prepare for the comebacks afterwards. You suppose there's a complaint. How do you handle that? It's more like, I've got your money and that's it. That means that you're conning people. They will never come back to you again. And people are lazy. I just admit it, but a lot of people are lazy. They are not looking to go searching around. If they find someone and they feel reasonably happy and someone says, oh, you're being ripped off, but if you felt good while you're going through the process, then you'll go back.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what someone else says, you felt good, it was a good experience, and you'll go back. I'm trapped in certain names, certain designs and stuff like that, because I feel good when I go there.
There
I
you
get this little tingling. It's almost like I'm falling in love again. I like that part of the brand. It makes me feel, when you see it on the TV or you see it on an ad or something like that, you think, yeah, I got that. I feel good.
What is this shit?
Don't you feel like that? You see
I
someone, you
do.
think, yeah,
I
I've got the
do.
same.
And that's part of why I appreciate having a personal brand, because even when Phyllis does not feel like it, if I know I'm stepping into my place as ghetto country grandmother, because I'm good at what I do and I know how to do what I do, there's a level of confidence there. Whereas I may not be confident in life all the time, in what I do, I am very confident. So it doesn't come with an air of arrogance, but it's like, sweetie, I promise you, I'm not going to let you fall. And I can make that promise because the only way you will is if you jump out the fucking boat. Because I'm 10
Yeah.
toes down there with you. And you know that from working with me. So it's with that
Yeah,
understanding. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I can promise that it
Oh
doesn't
no,
come
I'm
off.
not saying you promise.
One of my closest friends says to me, I can't remember what I was doing, but she goes, be careful that you don't, because when you get comfortable, you get cocky. And I
You
was like,
do.
what do you mean by that?
You do.
And yeah, it's another, oh my gosh, growing older, you have to accept certain things.
Yes.
But it's not cocky in a way that, I'm unpleasant to people. It's that I know I've gone through the mud, as you guys say. I've been in the bottom. I don't care
Yeah.
about titles or anything like that. I want to work it out from the very bottom so that I know how it fits together.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of my being. And so if I tell you that it is X, I'm not going to rant and rave about it. I'm just going to tell you it's X.
Yeah.
And it's X. It's X. And people call that aggressive. It's not aggressive. I'm assertive. I like that. Calmly assertive is what I am. I know my thing. And I'm not,
Yeah.
and it comes to the point where I'm not going to argue with you about it. I just know what it is. And you can decide in your mind what you're going to do. I'm going to go off and do what I need to do because I know what's right for you. So if that's cocky, then I'll own it. I'm cocky. But I am looking out for your best interest.
And the thing about it, like I say, it because you are not willing to argue, people would rather you be petty than confident. It's like, because now they can argue back. When you say, you know what, it's just is what it is. Well, no, it's not. And I said, and okay, whatever you say, I'm done. And then that makes them angrier than
That is the beauty of
accepting.
having a brand, though.
Say that again.
That's the beauty of having a brand.
Yes.
Because before I was conflicted, I have been put in situations where it's like, I, I'm not middle class or anything like that. I'm working class. I'm a poor black girl that grew up in a poor area. So I know how to be street if I need to be. And there have been times, because when I tell people where I come from, it's like I'm from Moss Side, and they're like, no, you're not. Why would I lie about that? I am from Moss Side, Manchester. It's not got the greatest reputation. And
No,
just
I don't
because
think
I
it's like
moved to
I don't
this,
know. See, and this is what interests me, because when Cass say street and I say street, I'm trying to picture it, because I'm like this bougie ass ghetto, because it has to have proper tea, even though it's street.
yeah. No, I'm not ghetto.
No, I'm just saying, it just always cracks me up, because I get what you're saying. Everybody has their level of that thing. And it's hard for, like I said, it's hard for me to picture. I'm not going to put it on anybody else, but it's just hard for me to picture, especially knowing you and knowing your level of expectations with certain things. It is not
Yeah.
that you're, well, you are kind of high end because I've seen your purses.
Yeah, but I buy them all myself.
You do. You do. But it's there's just a level of expectation with you, and I get it. I get
Yes.
it. So like I said, when you say street, it's just hard for me to actually picture you ever being street, because I know how I was street, and with the do rag turned around and the Vaseline in case I had to get into a fight. That's what I think of when I think of street. So I don't know
Yeah.
what it is for the UK version.
It's more like running your mouth and just losing control and getting on top. And I don't do that anymore. I never really did it, but if you push my buttons, I could lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I've been put in situations where now I think, well, what about the business? This is not personal.
Yeah.
Although I don't believe that business is not personal. There are times because it's people. So
Yeah.
sometimes it is personal. But you are representing the company. This is not a personal attack against you. And even if they get personal, you are still representing your company.
Yeah.
And right now, you're the only one in it. And you need to get more work. And the construction industry is so incestual. It's so small. If one person says something and says, oh no, you don't want to touch her, then you're kind of screwed.
Oh
So
wow. Wow. And here's the thing, one of the things that
as a
we,
way of holding your tongue.
yeah, Cass is very big on internal community. She doesn't like calling them staff or employees, they're internal community. But one of the things that we were discussing was how the brand is tied to the internal community when you're, because if you have a brand that makes all these grandiose gestures and bends over backwards for the customer, but then you turn around and their internal community is fucking toxic and you're treating your staff like shit, it's like, it's, yeah, it. And so when you're talking about a brand, having policies and procedures that align with the brand that you put out there helps to keep that cohesiveness and that alignment. And so that's one of the reasons why I start with the business of one. Is before it reaches that toxic level, because now you're asking somebody to rebrand your company. Everybody in here is like, they come to work every day, but they're complaining. But then you sit up here and you putting on this facade face of, oh, we're this great thing, we're making you this big ass promise and we will deliver. And then you over here cracking the whip and treating them like shit to make sure it gets done. Yeah, I don't want to work with people like that. I just don't. So, but we made that comparison about how outward branding, visual branding is lacking, or branding in general, how it can show up in your policies and procedures so that it is consistent throughout your business as a whole. So that was something that was really interesting with us. But Cass, we got to wrap this on up, chick. Is, you know, I have fun with you. But tell people how they can find you, where they can get at you, and all the good things. So come on.
So I would say I'm on all the social media apart from Facebook. I do not do
I know she
Facebook.
hate big. She won't play with me on Facebook, y'all. I'm sorry. She will not come
Gives
into
me a
my private
migraine.
community or anything.
Not a chance. I noticed that I post on Instagram, and I noticed that there's like some slider button, and that was on for Facebook. So I've been posting to Facebook. I'm not looking at Facebook. And you can't send me a message on Facebook. It's all deleted off most of my
Come on, Facebook
devices. I
hater. I
don't.
said, where can they find you? Not where you can complain.
So I'm becoming more present on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
um, because apparently that's where my people are. We'll see if I can find a Bobby Rob and his father there, and a Tanya. And I'm starting to like TikTok.
I
And I
know.
was a
I
proper
see.
hater of TikTok. It's just like this, yeah. But yeah, I like it. Just little short clips of what I do to give. It doesn't mean that you have to work with me, but it's to give you an understanding that there's a part of your business that you are neglecting if you don't have your policies and procedures in place. And I have a website, which I do a blog every week. And it's not what you think. It's not the standard
Contact
stuff.
info, chick, not the blog. Contact info.
At the website, it's on the website.
So why are you telling me about the blog?
Because I'm saying that it might look the same, but no, if
Uh-huh.
you check the pictures, then they update because I do a blog every week. It's active.
You know what? And y'all don't think I fuss at Cass all the time, because Cass will
You do.
I do. I do. Cass said I left her with scars. But trust and believe they are not that bad, because otherwise her ass would not be sitting here talking to me.
That's not true. I think there's something wrong with me. I like policies and procedures. There is something wrong with me.
All right, honeys. This has been so much fun. And like I say, if you have policy and procedure issues, trust and believe, even though she's in the UK, she is one of those people that will you look up US policies and legal whatever and all of that kind of stuff and help to better explain it to you. She does have a legal degree and all that stuff. She's just not a practicing lawyer. So there's that part. But I love watching how she's growing and how she's moving in her business and how it's becoming. And I think, is your thing still going on for the R&R policy? Are you still doing that for January?
R&R is ongoing because, it's like a puppy for Christmas. It's not just for Christmas, it's for life.
Just so y'all know, she always has this feature that she runs of it, doing a what she calls a R&R, which is a refund and what? Am I saying it
Return
right?
and refund. To play
Return
on
and
the
refund.
rest and relaxation.
Yeah. So it's a return and refund policy, and she can help you knock one of those out. That's one of the few that she will kind of type for you without much static.
So,
Because people always, especially around the holidays, they're always trying to bring something back. And if you don't have a return and refund policy somewhere, you need to get with Cass. And with that, we're going to blow this up. So 5, bullshit happens. So suck it up.
suck it up.
4, your voice is important. So speak up.
Speak up.
3, you make the world a more beautiful place. So show up.
Show up.
2, life is good. So buck up.
Buck up.
And 1, I love you and ain't a damn thing you can do about it. So shut the fuck up.
Not saying
And
that
she does
one.
not cuss, so she's not gonna say that part. Deuces, y'all.